Hello. There's a lot of you now. I don't know what I did exactly to get all of your attention, but hi. Welcome to the channel. And that video fucking blew up now, didn't it? I don't think I expected to pop up in your recommended, and I don't think anyone expected me to pop up in their recommended. So, hello, my name is Zach, and we've got some stuff to talk about. When I made that thing, I was thinking that like maybe a couple hundred people at max were gonna watch that video, but no, it got seen by tens of thousands of people. And so now we just gotta keep rolling and moving on. If you aren't aware, I made a video titled "You Are Part of the Last Generation of Gamers," and so this video is going to be kind of a part 2 to that whole thing, because if there was one thing that people did not shut up about in my comments is that we need to talk about the indies, because it's true. Indie devs are the future, and I think there needs to be a real big conversation about this, or it needs to be more of a poignant point, because that video kind of ended on a pretty depressing note. And if there's anything that's really exciting about the games industry right now, it is the fact that indies are taking over, and we really need to highlight that fact. So if you care about, or you've been watching the games industry at all over the last 5 years now, you've probably seen layoffs hit your favorite studio or franchise at some point. A lot of those people have left the gaming industry completely. There's plenty of developers, industry veterans that have just decided, that's it, I'm out. But there are many people who said, fuck it, I'm doing it my way. And those people that stuck around, we need to celebrate. Looking at the Game Awards, I know that there's plenty of critiques and criticisms of how the Game Awards has been handled over the last couple of years, but I do think that last year was the best one yet. And I think the winner of 2025 really does mark an industry shift in something that really matters. And that is the thing that has been driving everything forward. Not big budgets, not mass marketing campaigns, not major player numbers and retention rates. It's talent. Looking at the nominees for 2025, there's not a single game on that list that I could say doesn't deserve to be on that list. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and the, of course, big winner that you just could not stop hearing about, Clair Obscura Expedition 33. Every single one of those titles has something incredibly special going on with it. From incredible mechanics, great stories, amazing environments, great art direction, they're all awesome in their own right. So indie games are the phoenix that are rising from the ashes of the dead industry that we're currently watching, and I think that is ultimately a great thing. So in my last video, I talked a lot about how the market is essentially going to be shrinking and changing into more of an enthusiast audience. Kids are not getting into it because gaming is way too expensive. They're going to other places like TikTok and Roblox. But for the people that are still here, you are going to get catered to in some amazing ways. Because the games industry won't be able to support these massive mass market titles, there's gonna have to be some shrinking of those budgets. As you make a mass market product, plenty of people have seen this and experienced it already, you make it very general. You go and you try to appeal to the widest audience as possible. You dumb stuff down, you give it a ton of different but complementary qualities, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of drama, whatever the hell that it has to have, so that we can get it in front of as many people as possible. But sometimes that feels shallow. Sometimes it doesn't really feel like there's that much soul beneath the whole thing. Sometimes it's kind of cheap, ultimately. Sometimes it feels like we're looking at slop, which is the favorite word of 2026. And so, if this whole games industry has to do anything and shrink into more of an enthusiast level audience because these indie developers don't have the massive budgets to develop a title for literally everybody, then that means they're just making something for a handful of people, and you're going to target that demographic as hard as you can, and you're going to innovate in new places that you just couldn't before. Look at all the stuff that indie devs have done over the last couple of years. The most popular game on my phone for a while was Balatro, or Balatro. or Balatro. I hear the same thing between multiple people. I heard it from an Australian that it's Balatro, and I heard it from a bunch of other people that's Balatro. Balatro? Fuck, dude, I don't know what the hell the game is actually called, but it's fun as hell, and I love it to death. That game is super weird, super tiny. I would never play anything like that in my life, but because one guy got the chance to sit down and try and think about how to do things a little bit differently. He made one of the coolest, weird little poker games of all time, addicting as hell. And you just can't have these massive studios taking risks like that. It's just not how it works. So getting that opportunity, that's where all the fun is. All the fun is in the risk. And so these places are going to pivot so much harder than you would ever think. And there's plenty of studios being made by people who are like been in the industry for forever, but they still have passion and they've kind of been restricted to do other people's bidding. And now they're just going to go make stuff that feels incredibly authentic to them. And so once again, being the Battlefield fan that I am, I got to talk about Embark. Embark Studios is just made up of a bunch of veteran DICE developers. You've heard about them because of Arc Raiders and the Finals. And I am incredibly in love with this studio because I'm aware of their foundations. And so we're just going to see plenty of things like that. There are a lot of people who have been laid off in the games industry over the last couple of years who decided to leave. 44% of those veteran developers have just left the industry completely. But those people that decided I have a lot to offer and that they hung on, I think they're going to have the chance to do some very incredible things. So by shrinking the studio sizes, getting these more narrowly referenced teams, and the industry having a set of tools that makes it easier to make games than it ever has had in its entire history, we're just going to see a bunch of amazing little niche things that deliver experiences that you could never find before. And that's awesome. That's where this place needs to go. That's what the industry needs to have. It does suck that some of your favorite franchises over the last couple of years are not coming back. They've been shelved permanently. The rights to those things are not getting moved because reasons. And so we're just not going to see that stuff. But the great thing is there's plenty of spiritual successors that are coming around. There's plenty of titles that are going to come back in their own new forms, their big new ways. The industry has just only expanded. And a lot of people call that oversaturation. But if you're a consumer in this market right now and you're enjoying what you're playing, there's genuinely no shortage of new opportunities and new experiences for you to have as a player. So if you're sticking around, or you're one of those kids that was in my comments telling me, hey, I'm actually pretty young and I'm getting into this right now. If you stick around in the games industry for the next decade, you are going to play some amazing stuff. Things that was not possible because of the current structure of the industry. Like titles that you'd never think would ever been able to have gotten made, that never would have been approved by a board of directors, that nobody ever would have gotten the actual pitch off of the ground because nobody had to pitch anything to anybody. Some guy just turned on his computer, loaded up Godot, and just said, fuck it, I'm gonna make this all on my own. And there are millions of people that are doing that all the time. Congratulations, games industry. You're breaking free of the shackles of the stuff that has been holding back your creativity for years. If you're still here, as we transition into an enthusiast market, if you can find a way to participate, you're gonna experience things that just weren't possible, that nobody would have ever thought of, nobody would have ever greenlit. It's gonna be a great time. I'm not ending it on doom and gloom today. We're going to just look at the camera and smile. And I'm going to just be happy that the fact that there is a whole host of experiences and a bunch of passionate people who are just going to make stuff just for the sake of making stuff. And that's kind of how I got into all of this. I just wanted to make a game that I saw wasn't getting made and I really wanted to play. You're just going to see more and more of that. Just tiny little things that nobody ever thought that they could try, little weird experiments that get to run off the ground. And that is what the future really is. If you're one of my many new subscribers that found me from that last video, hi. I'm feeling incredibly awkward about this. I did not think that many people were going to watch that thing, so thanks for joining me. And if you did find this video and make it to the end and you have not liked or subscribed yet, what are you doing? Did you even like it? Are you having fun? Do you want to hang out? I don't know. What are you doing here still watching me like that? Is there an indie game that has blown up in the last couple of years that you're really excited about? Are there other indie games out there that no one's talking about that you feel like needs to be mentioned? What's a weird genre that you feel like needs to be revived by this whole thing? Because we're getting plenty of spiritual successors these days from developers that were like, I was part of so-and-so studio and they're not making that game anymore, but I'm going to make it myself. And I think that's a very beautiful thing. This has been a ton of fun. Thank you for stopping by and I'll see you later.